All right. Well, thank you so much for everyone taking some time out of your day. We're really, really grateful that you're part of this year's summit, and we would love to have folks introduce themselves in the chat so that folks know who else is on the call for any of the folks who are unfamiliar names and faces. And those of us who will be kind of co-presenting today's orientation will go ahead and introduce ourselves live. I'm Steph Knoll. I'm the director of the Oregon Trails Coalition, and we are the kind of primary producer management partner of the summit, though we have a lot of great partners and sponsors and planning committee members that come together to make it be. And I'll pass it to Everett.
I am Everett Colleen. I work with staff at the Trails Coalition, mostly with programs, and I've been communicating with pretty much all of you over the last couple of weeks and months. So thank you all for your time and commitment. I know that there's a lot of moving pieces that goes into this, so I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Everett. And then we also have Will joining us. Will, I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I know most or a lot of folks, and it's good to see everyone. Will Cortez. I am the accessibility project manager at Metro Parks and Nature, and then I'm also the founder of Bike Park PNW, a cycling group in the Portland metro area, and I'll also have a presentation at the Rec Summit.
Great, thanks everyone. And we can go to our next slide. A lot of you who might have submitted your proposal or been part of the proposal process have probably already been introduced to our summit goals and values, but really we are so grateful that you're coming together for this kind of little community gathering that really has the goals of bringing us all together to learn, collaborate, and find solutions to shared challenges. We don't usually adopt kind of a specific theme kind of year to year for the summit. Instead, we focus on kind of these 5 goals overall, which is connecting Oregonians of all backgrounds and abilities to the outdoors, addressing climate change impacts, supporting community and economic recovery, promoting statewide stewardship and healthy recreation, and building a sustainable outdoor economy. So that's our focus. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And with this, I'll pass it on to Will.
Yeah, everyone. So thank you so much for joining us again. And I won't read through everything here for our summit community agreements, but what I want to share is as we go through these and we ask that you share these during your presentations and really take these to heart is that one of the best parts about the community agreements as we're heading into the Rec Summit is that, you want to think about these and come from a place of like, we don't need people to have any special training as they're stepping into the space. I think these are all sort of the basic tenets of just like being great people, being great conference attendees, and being great conference presenters as well. So, a lot of this is really thinking about how you're showing up in a space, how much space you're taking up, how much space you're willing to yield, and really remembering that we're coming as learners in this space and to really lean into the discomfort around learning. Next slide.
Thanks. We can go to the next slide. And we're really just inviting our summit presenters as kind of, who at least step up for part of this summit to be in kind of a hosting role and kind of space making role to just we want everyone to feel empowered to take action if they feel like they're noticing words or behaviors, whether there's any ill intent or not, that might be kind of in contradiction with our community agreements. And there's these five Ds of bystander intervention that I think can be helpful. And this isn't about placing blame or anything like that. It's just more about kind of, hey, how can we come together to make sure that this summit is a welcoming and inclusive place for everybody by addressing anything that uncomfortable that comes up. And so we just wanted to introduce this kind of framework, which is kind of any of these could be choices. A lot of these can be used together, but if something uncomfortable is happening, think about distracting or moving focus if there's kind of uncomfortable focus being put on a member. Delegating is always an option. You're meeting three of your committee members today. Everett and I both will be kind of involved in lots of the logistics. We have some other committee members on the line, like I see Will and Jess and Steve. But if you're not sure how to deal with a situation, feel free to kind of ask for help or flag a situation for someone else to jump in. And that, this could be like a climate control issue or, something in the way of accessibility or addressing remarks that you overheard that you're concerned about the impact of. Delay, this kind of just refers to following up later with someone who you think might have had a awkward or uncomfortable or harmful interaction. Being direct, if you're comfortable, just addressing the situation head on and be like, hey, let's break this down. Let's make sure everyone's in a good space. And lastly, kind of document, especially for those of us who are producing this event year to year, we want to know what's happening in our space so we can continue to make things better and also kind of follow up with anyone who maybe needs a follow-up. And let's go on to the next slide.
Great. And I love that we're coming off of that slide talking about community care, because even though your role as a speaker, as a co-speaker, as a panel member, as you're coming in and you're sort of the focus of attention, like just understand and remember, like this is community, this is an opportunity for all of us to help each other out. So even, we're looking at our room host, we're looking at other folks in the space, including you as a participant, like you can step up and interrupt these things as well. So your role as a speaker, so you're coming in, sharing your expertise, your stories, and this is really your chance to really make this as interactive as possible. I think one of the things that I love that's noted on this slide is that we are looking to create actionable presentations that engage a wide array, wide range of audience members, right? Like we're looking to tell stories about recreation. We're looking to inspire folks to recreate, to protect the spaces that we recreate, and all those pieces. So what are some of the tricks for keeping an audience engaged? Next slide, please. Let's see. So some of the things that we can do, we can make things very interactive. So if you haven't thought about these, or if you've put this in your presentation proposal that like, hey, by the way, we're going to make them interactive. So here's some ideas. So that you could do some pair shares. You can do participant polls. I know that Mentimeter is something that has come up. One that I will share with all of you that I used with the Portland Parks Foundation is Slido. Slido. That one's a really fun one. It actually gives people an opportunity to enter in Q&A questions like while it's going on. And one of the neat things about Slido is that as you see questions, if someone has asked the question that you already or that you want to ask, that you can give it like a little +1 and it'll start to rank the questions based on popularity among the audience. So that's something that I like to use. It's it's free to use as well. You can just like generate a QR code for that. Yeah, so soliciting ideas from the attendees, and don't forget that you can actually solicit ideas through the Hoove app like prior to coming to the conference as well. And the conversation doesn't end when the conference is over. I think that's the piece that I again really, really want to impress upon all of you is like we're thinking about like actionable audience engagement. It's like as you're crafting your presentations and your workshops, it's like what is the product that you're leaving people with, right? Like how do you create longevity and something lasting, something that you can come back and continue to reference? Like that's the kind of audience engagement that we're looking for. Yeah. Next slide, please. And then we touched on this earlier. We just want to say briefly, like, you're going to have room hosts. They're going to go ahead and get you connected to the space. They're going to be your sort of go-between between what you're needing to do and Everett and Steph and the staff that'll be on hand at the presentation venue. And as they'll also be there to help talk, elaborate, articulate anything related to community agreements, and then sort of answer and take care of any housekeeping things. So you should all know in the moments and days like leading up to the summit who your room host is. So we really encourage you all to make that connection with those folks and start to build that rapport. Next slide.
Great. And then we just wanted to go over a little bit of logistics ahead of time. So before the event, we do ask that all presenters do register for the summit. If you need the presenter discount code, again, you can let Everett know, and make sure that presenters are aware that they're also responsible for booking your own lodging. As far as travel plans, if you haven't made a travel plan yet, we do want to flag that we do have complimentary shuttles going to the summit from both Portland and Bend and points in between. And there is also kind of a summit event entry for the Get There Connect carpool matching tool, if folks want to take a look at that. Everett will be talking a little bit more about submitting materials in advance. That is the best case scenario, so we can have everything loaded and ready for you on your session computer. And then connecting with your host and arriving a few minutes early for your session. Next slide. All of our kind of not in person, but all of our kind of in conference center activities are taking place at the Pendleton Convention Center. You can take a look, there's a letter bus that circulates through the city of Pendleton if you want to check out taking the bus from your hotel to the convention center. The convention center is all one level, it's accessible. We'll have breakout sessions taking place both in our main hall, which is kind of the big square space in the middle, as well as some meeting rooms on the side. I will say that our meeting rooms are not the most inspiring spaces this year. And so we're so thankful that they're going to be filled with your inspiring content during the session so that everyone still leaves very inspired. And let's go to the next slide. Just so folks know what to expect in terms of AV, there will be microphones in every breakout space. Please use the microphone, even if you think you're a loud talker. It can really help folks with a variety of kind of hearing experiences. Also, each room will be equipped with a projector, screen, and PC laptop. The computers will be equipped with audio, so if you have plans for sharing video, that should be fine. You should be able to share video with sound from the presentations. They are PCs, so if you're building your kind of presentation on a Mac, keep that in mind. The AV support folks, there won't be a dedicated AV tech for each breakout session. There'll just be kind of roving AV support. They should have a variety of dongles and such so that if you are going to be running some kind of program for a presentation that you need your computer to run a specific program, that should be fine. They should have the attachments. If you have questions ahead of time, we can get those to the AV team. And their kind of preferred format, what they're most comfortable with is PowerPoint. So if you're using a web-based program like Canva or Google Slides to build, we recommend downloading as a PowerPoint if possible, and taking a look at it ahead of time to make sure that formatting goes through. And I'll pass it to Everett for the next couple of things.
Thanks, Steph. Some of this might be super familiar to most of you, but again, October 26th is the date that we're requesting folks send their slides. If I am transitioning slides from another format to another, it just is really helpful to have that time to be able to do that, so I keep your project intact. Just some recommendations: using clear visual slides with minimal text if possible. As Steph said, test media and formatting. If you have special AV needs for your session, please contact me and let me know. And I'm happy to work with you on making sure that you get everything that you need for your session. And I'll go to the next slide here. Yes, again, submitting your materials. We love to get materials in advance. It just makes everything run so much more smoothly on the day of, because Steph and I are going to be kind of running around helping folks with different things. If you are kind of on a super, super tight crunch and there's something where you can't get your presentation together until right before you get there, please bring it on a thumb drive. It's going to be the easiest way for me to transfer it to whatever session space that you're going to be in. And always kind of check your embedded media. So if you have audio files or videos, we recommend testing those in advance. Videos, depending on the quality, it's usually better to have those downloaded to the computer that you'll be using, as opposed to streaming. There'll be a lot of bodies in the space using a lot of different bandwidths, and so sometimes streaming doesn't necessarily go as we expect. And if you have additional videos that are of higher quality and you need to transfer them, please bring them on a thumb drive. I'll also have a spare thumb drive to support folks in that media transfer as well. And I will pass it back to Steph.
I think Will.
Or Will, yeah. Yes. So one of the last pieces is, it's a little bit of a presentation PowerPoint best practices. And really at this point, like we really want to focus in on the accessibility of our presentations as well as the cultural sensitivity. So when I'm talking about accessibility, I think, we've mentioned it in previous slides that we're thinking about making sure that we're using very clear text. And if you are going to use colors, thinking about high contrast things. And I know I think about when was in graduate teaching schools, a lot of like, here's what we're doing, but try not to do what we're doing is, if you need to do animations, then go ahead and do animations and transitions. But if you don't need to, like, stay away from, a lot of like moving things on the screen as much as possible. It's really good to note the fact that there are built-in accessibility checkers, particularly in Canva and in like Microsoft Office products. They'll tell you those things. And then there's also add-on things like in Google, like Grackle, which is up here as well. So we also want to avoid jargon as much as possible, but if it's absolutely necessary, consider like having that sort of stuff uploaded in presentations and adding appendices and definition pages, or just taking the time to really talk about them. So if you're going to use acronyms, like, understand the attendees at the conference are going to be people from all sorts of different backgrounds, and as much as possible, use plain language. Use plain language. That's the thing that I'll say. Also, we're not speaking on behalf of folks. And if you are, that we really watch whether we're being condescending in our tone, tokenizing, othering in any way. That can also happen in photos as well. Like if you want to include photos, one of the things I'm going to tell you, particularly because my session that I'll be teaching at the Rec Summit will be on creating welcoming and inclusive outdoor events. And if you're using photos, to make sure that you've got the permission of the folks that are in your photos as well. Making sure that your photos are actually pertinent to what you're talking about. And if there's anything about any of the photos and graphs or charts or anything, is to really call those things out. Like, since we're not all online and looking at these things, often you've heard the term alt text used to describe images. I'm going to ask you as presenters to actually be that alt text. So if there's an image and we need to pay attention to it, then talk about what's going on in the image. And then as we're, again, continuing to do this is, consider who you're talking to, how you're talking about things. And then at the the base expectation is everyone uses the microphone. Consider amplification. And for those of you who are doing outdoor workshops as well, let's think about what does it look like to make sure that everyone can hear you.
Great.
Thanks, Will. And already we have animated slides in between our presentation. So don't be like us. Just kidding. And so just kind of bringing this up, the Whova app is kind of our main point of connection for the agenda, for other logistics information at the summit. There's information about the shuttle. The floor plan for the event is also through that app. It is available on your phone, and I will be sending out a follow-up email with this presentation and links to both the desktop Whova app for those who prefer to use a desktop, and also for the app itself. In there, you can update your speaker bio and information. If you have, you can preview your session descriptions. If you have edits to your descriptions, please send them to me. There have been some folks who have had trouble editing them within the Whova app. That's totally fine. Just send me any edits that you might have, and I'm happy to make them. It's very quick. As Steph mentioned also earlier, this is a great way to solicit questions in advance of your session. It's also a nice way to follow up with other presenters if you are attending a different session. It's a nice way to connect and stays open for several days after, or several days and weeks after the summit is over. So you can kind of go back and make some of those follow-ups that you maybe weren't able to at the time of the session.
Tokenize. Good heavens.
One other thing I wanted to flag about sharing presentations with us ahead of time is that is the easiest way for us to be able to also share presentations back on kind of the Whova site for sessions afterwards for folks who want to follow up. So that is the easiest way for us to make your slides available. And if anyone doesn't want to make their slides available on the app for some reason, please let us know that as well. But again, if you provide your presentation to us ahead of time, then we have it in the files to be able to share it, and we can help you avoid a step afterwards for sharing those slides with people who want to return to them. The next slide we have is just a real quick overview of our schedule. This is on the website as well, so I won't go through it all, but we hope that folks are able to join us for as much of the summit as possible. We have some offerings on Thursday morning. We really kick off the full group event with that 12 p.m. Opening keynote. Lunch service will start before that, so we hope you can come get some lunch, find a space, get some of the clanking of silverware and plates over before we have Chuck Sam's open the summit for us. We have a great evening dinner and party on Thursday night. We hope you'll be able to join us for. We'll be operating shuttle service. So we encourage you to take advantage of that Thursday evening, and especially if you plan on drinking, so that we don't have folks drinking and driving through the streets of Pendleton. We would love to give you a free shuttle to your hotel. But there also will be lots of non-drinking focused opportunities at that evening party. There'll be some fun stuff going on. And then, yeah, Friday conference all day and Saturday field events. And we can go to the Q&A slide. We would both love any questions, or also, because we sailed through it, if folks have other things they want to offer to your fellow presenters as great ways to make sessions interactive, or things that you've loved at other events to share as an offering with other presenters, we welcome that as well. So if you have a question or any other kind of ideas or guidance or inspiration you want to share with your fellow presenters, you can either put it in the chat or raise your hand right now.
All right, Beth, it looks like you had a question.
What does the word tokenize refer to? That sounds very jargony, and I don't know what that means.
Will, would you like to take that, or I'm happy to respond as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a part of it is the way we've written it in community agreements. To tokenize is to essentially like base your like larger perceptions and ideas on maybe one or two examples. I think is like sort of the best way I can say it. So it's like it's almost like stereotyping based on like very minimal interactions with like people and experiences.
I hope that helped with that piece of jargon, and thanks for.
Not really. Could I have an example, please?
Yeah. Let me see if I can give you a clear one, then I'll connect with you. 1 second.
Thanks for flagging that as a piece of jargon. I think that is kind of a lot of what we're indicating and what we can do for each other in this summit space. We'll give we've got Everett shared a link about tokenization in the chat, and we've got Will working on a follow-up on that.
Oh yeah, I was for sure. I think I was just sort of drawing them on like my personal experience, or like let's talk about the work that I do. Often what happens, Mary Beth, is like if I'm working with someone in the disability community, is like we will often, or folks will default to saying like, well, this person who uses a wheelchair, and then having them sort of, I don't know, expecting them to speak on behalf of like the entire disabled community, right? Whereas we have to understand that like everyone's going to have a different experience around like whatever intersectional identities they have. So we don't want to tokenize them by saying like, yeah, this person is going to speak on behalf of that. They are like they're the expert on this piece. So not making those assumptions about folks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
We will keep the session open for a few more questions, but I did just want to share a couple of follow-up things. We will be sharing both the recording of this as well as the slides for the orientation. And we will also be sending out a form where we're just asking our speakers to acknowledge that they either attended the speaker orientation or looked at the slides, and that you're willing to help us uphold the community agreements we shared at the beginning. So we'll share a direct link to those two as follow-up. And we're just really grateful for all of you sharing your experience and expertise and helping us create a welcoming learning space at the summit for learning and collaborating together. So big gratitude to y'all. For anyone who has to go, that's fine. If there are any remaining questions, I'm happy to stay on the line for a few more minutes.